My journey to a forgotten brothel in Pompeii revealed shocking secrets of ancient love and loss. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The air was thick with dust, whispering secrets of a world long buried. My heart raced with every step I took towards the remnants of what was once a place of desire and desperation. The walls, crumbling and stained with age, seemed to breathe, sharing the tales of lives intertwined in the shadows of time. It was eerie, each crack a voice begging to be heard. I pushed open the heavy door, its groan piercing the silence like a scream. The heavy scent of decay met me, wrapping around my chest like icy fingers. What lay before me was a haunting tableau, a mosaic of ancient mosaics, depicting lovers shared in desperate embraces, their faces frozen in ecstasy and sorrow. I felt a lump forming in my throat. Their joy felt tangible, but so did their pain. Wrapped in the damp chill of the air I explored, the echoes of laughter and whispers surrounded me. I could almost hear the soft rustle of togas, the clinking of goblets, the sighs of lovers who once occupied these very rooms. I touched the cool stone walls, tracing the outlines of faded erotic scenes with trembling fingers. My pulse quickened as I found the hidden alcove, a small room bathed in darkness. The moment I stepped inside, a wave of cold washed over me. My breath hitched in my throat, and I couldn't shake the feeling I wasn't alone. There was something inexplicably magnetic about this place. The energy coursed through me, mingling with an undertow of dread. Who had experienced love here? What sacrifices had been made? My mind raced, piecing together fragments of their stories like a jigsaw puzzle of emotion. I peeked out the tiny window, and the view of the ancient city made my heart ache. A bustling world now silenced by time, yet vibrant with memories. Suddenly, a rustle in the corner caught my attention. I turned sharply, my heart pounding against my ribcage like a drum. There, hidden in the shadows, was an artifact that had been untouched for centuries. My breath quickened as I approached it, a delicate silver bracelet, ornate and shimmering. It sparkled with secrets of its own. Was it lost by a lover? A token of betrayal? My hands shook as I reached for it. Did it carry a story of passion, a promise sworn in the dark corners of ages past? But just as I grasped it, the ground beneath me trembled, a low rumble echoed through the room. I staggered back, the bracelet slipping from my fingers and clattering to the floor. Dust rained down from above, and time itself seemed to hold its breath, freezing the moment in a pulse of dread and curiosity. My heart raced as the world shifted, as if the very spirits of the brothel were stirring from their slumber, ready to reveal their truths. In the silence, my mind reeled with questions. What lay beneath the layers of history? What had been forgotten, waiting for me to uncover? And most importantly, why had I been drawn here, of all places? I stood there, teetering on the edge of impending chaos, with so many secrets looming over me like a shroud. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The tremors subsided as quickly as they had begun, leaving a haunting stillness in their wake. My pulse throbbed in my ears as I glanced nervously up at the ceiling, expecting it to collapse at any moment. I could feel the weight of the brothel's history pressing down on me, a thick veil that wrapped around my senses. In that silence, the truth of my own vulnerability struck me harder than I anticipated. The bracelet glinted on the floor, a bright disruption in the dim light, and as I bent down to retrieve it, a shiver coursed through my spine. Just a simple piece of silver, yet I felt the heartbeat of countless stories pulsing from it. It wasn't merely a trinket, it was a relic of love, loss, despair, and hope. Carefully, I picked it up, letting the cool metal rest against my palm. A sudden surge of warmth flooded through me, and without understanding why, I placed it against my chest. In that moment, I was not just a visitor to this place, I was a part of its unfolding narrative. But as I looked around the gloomy alcove, doubt crept back in. What had led me here? Was I chasing answers, or was I only seeking an escape from my own reality? Just days earlier, I had buried myself in routine, ignoring the deep-seated ache that echoed inside me, remnants of a recent heartbreak. I had thought that visiting this ancient site might provide clarity, but instead felt lost among the whispers of a past that wasn't my own, yet something deep inside me began to stir. I rose and ventured back into the main area of the brothel, the bracelet still warm in my palm. In the flickering shadows cast by faint streams of light, I noticed something else: a journal, lying partially hidden beneath a stone bench. It was tattered, pages yellowing with age, yet the intrigue of its contents beckoned me closer. My heart leapt as I knelt to retrieve it. As I flipped through the delicate pages, my breath caught in my throat. Each line was filled with eloquent proclamations of devotion, vividly describing stolen moments between lovers and the pangs of longing that shadowed their days. The author's words glowed with emotion, and I felt drawn into a world I had never known, but so desperately longed to connect with. Suddenly, I heard footsteps approaching outside the brothel. Panic rose within me, urging me to hide the journal as my instinct to protect myself surged. I quickly tucked it into my satchel, glancing towards the door as I did. Unexpectedly, a figure entered: a young woman, her olive skin brushed with dust and her eyes wide with wonder. "Are you okay?" she asked, hesitation lacing her voice. There was a gentle warmth in her presence, a flicker of kindness that momentarily calmed my racing heart. She took a cautious step closer, her gaze shifting between me and the desolate room around us. "I just found this bracelet," I murmured, unsure of how to explain the whirlpool of conflicting feelings within me. "And this journal. It's incredible." She stepped forward, curiosity dancing in her eyes. "You can feel it too, can't you? The stories in this place." There was a shared understanding in her words, a connection forged from our mutual fascination with the remnants of love buried beneath our feet. As we began to exchange thoughts about the significance of the brothel's artifacts, I felt the weight of my own turmoil momentarily lift. The kinship of two souls exploring the echoes of the past was invigorating. She introduced herself as Elena, a historian drawn to Pompeii's mysteries like a moth to flame. Somehow, amidst the unleash of countless emotions, I felt comforted in her presence, as if she held a piece of the healing I hadn't known I needed. But just as hope began to swell within me, an alarmingly low, rumbling tremor reverberated once again through the walls, more powerful and foreboding than before. The sound cracked through our moment of connection, shattering the fragile air between us. I glanced at Elena, her face pale as realization washed over us both. "It's coming from the outside," she gasped, eyes widening in fear. "We have to get out of here." We rushed towards the door, adrenaline pulsing through our veins, but just as we reached for the handle, light flickered ominously, and the walls trembled violently around us. In that moment, as a deep, ancient rumble rose from the very heart of the Pompeii ruins, I was struck by a profound realization. As whispers of the past clashed with the screams of the present, the weight of my journey was about to unfold in ways I could never have anticipated. With the room quaking and ominous shadows closing in, I could feel the brothel demanding that I uncover the secrets hidden deep within its walls. And I feared that once I did, my own heart might never be the same. The tremors intensified, reverberating deep within me, each violent shake echoing the turmoil in my heart. "We need to go," I urged Elena, my words barely piercing through the chaotic sound engulfing us. Time seemed to stretch, laden with each breath as fear gripped me. I turned the door handle, praying it would yield to us, but the weight of history felt more resistant than ever. "Push!" Elena shouted, and we heaved against the door, our bodies colliding with the heavy wood again and again. The relentless tremors made it hard to keep our balance. Just then, with an earth-shattering groan, the door finally gave way, flinging open to reveal a chaos beyond what I could have imagined. Sunlight fought through a blur of dirt and dust, illuminating the scattered debris of a volatile world. The street had transformed into an apocalyptic scene, stones raining down and cries for help mingling with the cacophony of collapsing structures. It was as though the very earth had come alive, angry and unforgiving, seeking to reclaim its lost stories. Instinctively, I reached for Elena's hand. Together, we darted into the chaos, navigating a path strewn with history but also danger. The overwhelming emotions that had visited me in the brothel felt childish in comparison to the life-threatening stakes we now faced. My mind raced to make sense of it all, the stories, all the heartache, swirling together like the dust that engulfed us. As we sprinted through the rubble, Elena's voice penetrated my haze, pulling me back to the present. "We need to find higher ground," she shouted over the din, pointing to a nearby fell structure that seemed to have withstood the quaking world around us. "We can get a better view and help others." We climbed inside, our hands finding purchase on the remnants of what might have once been a vibrant home. The air inside was stale yet strangely preserved, as though the memories were locked away, waiting patiently to be revived. A worn staircase spiraled upward, creaking beneath our hurried steps. With every step, I felt the rhythmic thump of new fears in my chest, but there was also a growing resolve, an unshakable sense that I was now on a path of profound discovery no matter how treacherous. Reaching the top, we emerged onto a terrace that overlooked the chaos. My heart clenched painfully, witnessing the lives below, families trying to gather loved ones, merchants abandoning their stalls, and the echoes of mourning mingling with the remaining tremors. It was a haunting tableau of both love and loss unfolding before our eyes. Suddenly, from amidst the turmoil, a striking figure caught my attention, an elderly man clutching a handful of delicate porcelain shards, kneeling helplessly in front of a broken display. He looked up, despair etched across his weathered face. Without thinking, I turned to Elena. "We have to help him," I urged, urgency pulling at my very core. Before she could respond, I dashed down the stairs, fueled by an insatiable need to save the pieces of someone else's shattered past. I reached the man, crouching down beside him. "It's okay, I'm here," I said, my voice shaking as I took note of the finely detailed decorations on the shards. "What happened here?" His eyes filled with tears, each breath a testament to the years of memories woven through those fragments. "They meant everything to me," he choked out, trembling hands reaching out to touch the pieces. "They belonged to my late wife. Every piece tells a story. I can't lose them too." In that moment, the weight of the brothel's history returned to me, and the connection to Elena surged through my veins. Love was enduring yet fragile. It could withstand time but not the cruel hands of fate. Wordlessly, I knelt beside him, carefully gathering the shards. With each delicate piece I lifted, I felt the warmth of not just the past but of humanity's shared experience. It was a moment of unexpected kindness blooming amidst chaos. Elena joined us, gently taking another shard. "We'll help you," she promised, her voice steady. "We can find a safe place together." We forged a makeshift group, maneuvering through the debris while carrying precious fragments of a life long gone. A small part of me felt fulfilled each shard, a reminder of love and despair shared through the ages, connecting us not only to the past but also to each other. But just as hope began to strengthen its roots within me, a new tremor rippled beneath our feet, sending shockwaves through the foundation of the crumbling structure. Panic ignited our actions. We scrambled to flee up the staircase once more. As we reached the top, I turned to Elena, the fear in her eyes mirrored my own. "Can the roof hold?" she whispered, surveying the creaking beams above. At that moment, a piercing scream rang out amid the chaos outside, slicing through my fortitude like glass. The realization hit me hard. This was not just a journey through history, it was a pressing trial that demanded my attention. The answers I sought, the connections I craved, were all within reach, but they were also precarious as the world trembled below. And as the floor beneath us began to groan ominously, I felt a surge of deep uncertainty, my heart pounding not just with fear but with the knowledge that our next move would define this moment in ways I hadn't yet grasped. The roof shuddered above us, dust tumbling down like fleeting memories turning to ash. Panic seized my chest. As Elena's hand tightened around mine, I forced myself to breathe, every instinct screaming for us to flee. But beneath the terror, a flicker of resolve sparked in me. If I was to understand this unfolding story, the stories intertwined with mine and the elderly man's, I couldn't let fear dictate my actions. "Down!" I yelled, the urgency of the moment blaring through the chaos. Drawing Elena and the man into a gentle yet insistent embrace, I pushed forward, descending the staircase one careful step at a time. Each creak reverberated like a whisper of fate, urging us to escape before the world above could crumble entirely. As we reached the ground floor, we stumbled through the remnants of life as it once thrived within those walls. The man shuffled beside us, still clutching the fragile porcelain with an iron grip, a heart resonating with grief even amidst his survival instinct. Outside, the chaos spun on, a whirlwind of desperate souls grappling with the winds of nature. The street was strewn with debris, but my gaze was fixed on the figure of a child, no more than 6 years old, tangled beneath a fallen beam nearby. His wide eyes flickered with fear, unable to comprehend the tempest that had swallowed his world. "Stay back," the man rasped, fear boiling over for a moment as he envisioned losing more than he already had. But I couldn't. I wouldn't. Instinct and compassion overrode any internal hesitation. "We have to help him." Before I could reconsider, I dashed toward the beam, my heart racing as I assessed the precarious situation. The weight of the structure could shift at any moment. I knelt beside the child, speaking softly. "Hey, little guy, we're going to get you out, okay? Just stay calm." He looked up at me, wide-eyed. "My mommy, she's in there." His little finger pointed toward the wreckage of a nearby house, the remnants of childhood laughter muted beneath layers of chaos. I nodded, though uncertainty clawed at my gut. "We'll find her, I promise. But first, let us get you out." With a swift motion, I gathered my strength and braced myself against the fallen beam, desperately trying to lift it away. It groaned, protesting under the strain. I felt weak and helpless, but the child's gaze pleaded with me to keep pushing. "Help him. Please." Elena, her breath quickening, rushed to my side. She joined me, and together we heaved against the wood, our unity providing the strength I lacked. The beam shifted slightly, but it felt like a fragile hope. With one final heave, we succeeded just enough for the child to wriggle out from beneath the beam, his small form tumbling into my arms. I held him close, feeling his heartbeat against my chest, rapid and frantic. "Where's my mommy?" he cried, and the desperation in his voice sliced through my resolve like glass. "I don't know, but we'll find her. We're going to make sure you're safe first," I promised, but the truth throbbed suspended in the air between us. I did not know where to begin searching, how to unravel this moment in the tide of uncertainty. "Keep searching, we'll find her," Elena added, glancing toward the destruction that loomed. She reached for the boy's hand. "What's your name?" "Luca," he whispered softly, his small hand trembling in ours. "Okay, Luca, you're going to be all right. We'll get to safety, then I'll help you find your mommy," I promised, but as we turned back to the chaos, the air filled with choking dust. A distant rumble echoed, louder this time, signaling yet another tremor brewing beneath our feet. The ground pulsated, and with it, hope flickered dimly like a candle fighting the darkness. Just then, the old man's voice broke through, his eyes wild with something far more profound than despair, a glimmer of wisdom perhaps buried in heartache. "Look up!" he shouted, pointing toward a structure across the street, partially intact and looming like a lighthouse in the storm. "We can get there. It might be safe." I glanced up, spine tingling with the weight of decision. The path to safety was unclear. Would choosing between helping an entire family or rescuing the fragile past that united us cost us our own future? But there was no time to ponder. With Luca cradled in my arms and Elena beside me, I felt an unseen bond drawing us together, a thread spun from shared grief and urgency. What if this moment was a reflection of the stories we carried? The weight of the past demanding we save the present, even as we were trapped in the shimmering shadows of uncertainty. That's when I saw it, a flicker of movement behind the shattered remnants of the nearby building. A shadow passed, and my breath caught in my throat as I recognized the familiar silhouette. "Mommy!" Luca screamed, his voice mingling with the encroaching despair of the world around us, as the tremors rippled painfully, shaking the very core of our existence. I felt time freeze, a heartbeat suspended midair, and with it the tangled mess of choices before me bore a deeper question. In this chaos, with history and love intertwining, what cost would we ultimately pay to salvage our stories? Would that price render us shattered in the end? As I clenched Luca tightly and exchanged a glance with Elena, that question echoed in the shadows of our hearts, heavy and undeniable. Yet there was no turning back as I took my first step toward what lay ahead, the ground shifting precariously beneath my feet. The ground trembled beneath us as I raced toward the silhouette of a woman, praying with every heartbeat that she would turn to me with the joy of recognition. "Mommy!" Luca's voice reverberated in my ears, tinged with both hope and desperation. It spurred me onward, both a beacon and a burden. The air was thick with dust and despair, yet in that moment, nothing mattered more than reaching that few fleeting feet of distance separating Luca from his mother. I could almost visualize the reunion, his little arms wrapping around her as though they could bridge the chasm created by calamity. "Come on," I urged Elena, whose brow was furrowed with concern. She nodded, her determination stealing her resolve as we stumbled across the rubble. "Luca, hold on to my hand," Elena said, her voice warm like summer sunlight breaking through dark clouds. The child definitely obeyed, though he was seemingly entranced by the hope flickering in the distance. Each step ignited the dread that raced through my veins. Would she be there? Would the woman matching his small, innocent memories still exist after the quake? As we neared the shattered remains of the house, a high-pitched wail pierced the cacophony of destruction, panic lilting in my chest. I glanced back at the old man, who stood rooted in place, eyes wild with an unreadable emotion. "Go!" he shouted, urgency crashing through his voice. "I'll keep watch." There was something in his gaze that held me for a moment, an unspoken mustering of strength. He turned then, scanning the debris, a warrior unnoticed amidst the ruins of both stone and spirit. Before I could reflect on his sacrifice, the woman's features emerged from the shadows of the fallen wall. She kneels, torn and bloody, cradling her arms. Yet, the moment her eyes met Luca's, all chaos fell away. "Luca," she gasped, stretching her arms toward him, a desperate embrace waiting to mend the seams of their lives. "Mama!" Luca cried, breaking free from our grasp as he darted toward her, happiness igniting the pain of reality as he launched himself into her embrace. I felt warmth flood my body, yet the weight of exhaustion and despair pressed heavily against my heart. I lingered in the periphery, witnessing their reunion, a mosaic of love pieced back together, albeit fractured by uncertainty. "Elena?" I breathed, searching for solace in her expression. She was drinking it in too, eyes shadowed by quiet tears. But before satisfaction could settle, the ground shook again beneath us, more violently this time. A deafening crack echoed into the sky, and I recoiled instinctively, fear gripping my throat. The old man's voice rose through the chaos once more. "Run! It's not stable here." At his command, I grabbed Elena's hand again, but my pulse raced in rhythm with the thundering tremors. The mother turned to face me, shock and gratitude flickering in her eyes, a muted thank you forming on her lips. But her words were drowned by the ferocity of the world collapsing. "Go!" I shouted to them, propelled forward by the instinct to protect. "Mommy, please!" Luca's cries tangled in my mind, but I had to go, we all had to. I felt my legs moving, adrenaline guiding each frantic step back toward safety. But as the ground quaked violently, a sharp gasp escaped me, realization dawning like the dim light of dawn. I wasn't sure if the path ahead was leading us to safety or deeper into despair. That's when I heard another explosion, a shriek, primal and consuming. From the very bowels of the earth beneath us, the remnants of an ancient story danced in the chaos. It felt as though time was folding into itself. I glanced back, frozen by the image of the buildings I once thought invincible, and saw the old man standing resolutely, his figure silhouetted against the debris and chaos. "Keep going," he bellowed again, though this time his voice carried an undertone of raw courage that threatened to crack even the hardest of hearts. I realized he wouldn't abandon us, even if it meant forsaking his own safety. But I was torn. Part of me wanted to rush back to him. He was intertwined in the story of this moment, a symbol of the lost and found. He knew how intertwined our lives were in the tapestry of tragedy. "Please?" Elena urged, pulling at my arm. "We need to move." But as I looked back one final time, something extraordinary happened, a fleeting moment amid despair that stopped my breath in my throat, halting what I had thought were the boundaries of this disintegrating reality. The old man reached into the debris, and though it was an action wrought with danger, he plucked something from the rubble, a shimmering hand-painted tile, its beauty untouched by the chaos surrounding it. It was an emblem of hope, an anchor in a sea of loss, and then in that split second of poignancy a revelation washed over me. This is all part of a bigger story, I thought. It was a clash of ancient lives, love woven through time and loss. As the ground shook one last time, sending me tumbling forward, a startling truth crystallized in my mind. What was it that bound those long-ago emotions to our lives today? Were we merely echoes of their past loves, or something more? With no time to ponder, I took Elena's hand firmly, and we pushed through the chaos, spurred by the realization that every moment was written in fate. We ran toward the uncertain horizon ahead, every step weighed with freshness of revelation, and behind us, the shadows of the past loomed, tangled and unresolved, forcing the question that would haunt me: what secrets lingered beneath our feet? What love had surged through the ruins of history yet to be uncovered? The sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the remnants of Pompeii in hues of pink and orange that felt almost mocking against the grey debris surrounding us. With each step I took away from that reunion, I felt the warmth of that moment slowly fading, replaced by the chill of uncertainty. I couldn't shake the sensation that we were being watched, not by any villager left behind, but by the echoes of spirits interwoven in this place, witnesses to sorrows and joys long past. Elena and I ran, hearts pounding, my mind reeling with questions. Who had the old man been, with his deep wisdom and eyes that seemed to hold centuries? What truth had he seen within this crumbled city that caused him to reach out so fearlessly? Look! Elena's voice broke through my haze, beckoning me toward a narrow alleyway that jutted off to the right, partially obscured by fallen stone. The earth underfoot trembled slightly as I glanced in the direction she was pointing. The remnants of dusty artifacts hinted at a history untouched by the Quaker doorway, still standing, to a long-forgotten brothel, its facade artfully adorned with intricate mosaics. As we hesitated, Luca's cries echoed in my memory. The sight behind us was chaotic, the mother still struggling to get to safety with her child, the old man now a shadow against the debris. I held tightly to the fleeting image of that fatherly figure who understood the depths of love and sacrifice. But now, the looming doorway beckoned me forward, a siren call that seemed to whisper secrets of this ancient place. It could be dangerous, I warned, staring back toward the chaos. But the spark of curiosity ignited by the remnants of a past life held me transfixed. We need to find shelter, Elena urged, her expression mingling fear and intrigue. Maybe we can find something inside, something that tells us more. With one last, pained glance back toward the rubble of ruin, I nodded, anxious to distract myself from the horror unfolding behind us. Together, we stepped through the threshold, the air around us thick with the sense of antiquity and forgotten desires. Faded colors still glimmered beneath layers of dust, the remnants of a world that had once thrived with laughter and longing. Inside, we found ourselves amidst fragments of chipped vases and remnants of broken furniture. A small window, half crumbled, afforded a glimpse of the outside world, where merciless chaos still reigned. A delicate mosaic of intertwined hearts caught my eye, a stark contrast against the destruction outside. I knelt before it, entranced by the artistry, my mind swirling with the pulse of life that once filled this space. I don't like it here, Luca said suddenly, pulling at my hand, the sheer weight of his innocence cutting through the tension. I turned to him, attempting to mask my own fear with a smile, but the truth lay heavily on my heart. I know, buddy, I whispered, reaching out to ruffle his hair in hopes of sparking a moment of comfort. But we'll find a way to keep you safe. As I straightened, Elena pointed toward a staircase in the back, winding up to a second floor. What if there's something up there? Something more hidden? We could find information, maybe even a way to help the others. Her voice trembled with resolve. Something within me, perhaps born from instinct or desperation, urged me forward. Okay, but let us stick together. We don't know what could be up there. Climbing the stairs felt surreal. Each step creaked underfoot, the wood weary from centuries of wear. The air grew colder as we approached the second floor, a damp chill trailing behind as if the ghosts of memories lingered in the shadows. At the top, the hallway opened into a room etched with remnants of decorated drapery and faint, suggestive paintings, a bittersweet tribute to passion. My chest tightened at the realization of what this place had symbolized. It had offered solace in a time when life was uncertain, a haven for those seeking connection amid the clamor of the world. As I moved further in, I spotted a small chest in the corner, locked tightly as though hiding its secrets from the world. Kneeling beside it, the thought of the old man flashed in my mind. What tales did he carry? A sense of urgency washed over me. I turned to Elena, who was busy inspecting the room. We need to open this. Do you think it's safe? She asked, her voice a whisper. It's worth trying, I replied, heart racing as I fumbled with the lock. My fingers danced over the intricate engravings, and a sudden idea struck. The mosaics, could they be a key? Help me look for something, anything that can fit, I urged, scanning the room for objects that could aid us. In my haste, my heart sank as my stomach churned with a resurgence of fear. Was this indulgence in history worth the risk? What if it led us to more loss? Suddenly, a chill swept through the air, as if the spectres of the past disapproved of our meddling. But my resolve hardened. I had to know. I had to understand the connection weaving through the fabric of our lives. As we began searching, we heard the distant sound of shifting stones, a deeper quake not just of the earth but of the world itself. My heart raced as I turned back toward the window, and that when I saw it, an approaching cloud of dust, rising ominously as shadows moved in the debris-strewn streets below us. We need to hurry, Elena urged, her eyes wide with panic. Before I could respond, the ground lurched again, far more violently this time, shaking the walls, sending dust cascading from the splintered ceiling above. Get down, I shouted, instinctively pulling Luca close as we swayed on uncertain ground. But even as we crouched, an overwhelming insight washed over me. Within this chaos, the interlacing of ancient stories and our present lives would not be silenced. This was the moment when the past came crashing back, and I realized some secrets were not done with us yet. The quake subsided, leaving a hollow silence that felt thick enough to drown in. But still, the motion drew my eyes to the chest. Its lock had cracked open, offering a whisper of untold stories waiting to spill forth. I could feel history calling, a voice intertwined with the ashes of lives long lost. The answer to the questions lurking within me and the implications of what lay buried beneath our feet shook at the edges of my mind. With one hand still protecting Luca, I reached toward the chest. As the lid creaked open, the air filled with the scent of aged parchment, and I felt a weight and urgency wrapped in mystery clamping down on my soul. What truth awaited us there? Would it illuminate the darkness clinging to this land, or would it plunge us deeper into the heart of the storm? The chest creaked open, revealing a trove of parchments, their edges frayed and yellowed with age. I felt Luca's small hand gripping mine tighter, sensing the gravity of the moment as Elena leaned over, peering into the depths with a mix of awe and trepidation. In that instant, our breaths seemed to align, a shared pulse of anticipation thrumming through the still air. Please be something good, I murmured under my breath, hoping against hope that the contents would provide clarity in the midst of chaos. As I sifted through the fragile papers, my fingers traced the outlines of delicate illustrations, depictions of emotions unbridled in the face of time. Here, Elena whispered, holding up a page adorned with beautifully handwritten script. Its elegant curves were a stark contrast to the destruction surrounding us. It's a love letter. I could see snippets of passion bound in poetic phrases, entangled with urgency and longing. It spoke of a hidden affair, a connection forged in the tense undercurrents of a society obsessed with appearances. My heart ached for the writer, their words echoing with the timeless struggles of love and loss. Elena's eyes widened as she scanned it. Their essay named Sophia. And she loved someone named Marcus. My mind lit up with the old man's haunting image, his deep gaze hinting at stories beyond our understanding. Was Sophia someone he had known? Had their destinies intertwined like ours were now? But there was little time to dwell, not with the tremors of uncertainty still echoing beneath our feet. I carefully slid the note back among the parchments, hoping to return to it later, recognizing the weight we carried. The whispers of the past were possessing us, demanding to be heard. Do you think we can find more? Elena asked, her voice trembling with the rush of revelations yet to come. This could lead us somewhere safer, I hope, I replied, glancing toward the window. Outside, the dust had settled but the streets remained eerily quiet. I felt a surge of dread, an awareness that not all mysteries are meant to be unraveled in haste. Just then, Luca tugged at my arm, his small voice breaking through the tension. Can we go home now? My heart clenched at the innocence in his words, a simplistic desire for safety amid a whirlpool of complexity. I knelt beside him, wrapping him in a protective embrace. We will. But to get home, we need to help others first, okay? He nodded slowly, still unsure, but trust lingered in his big brown eyes. Let us stick together, I said, rising back to my feet. If we explore a little further, we might find out more about Sophia and Marcus. We have to know if their stories can guide us. Elena nodded, the fire of determination reigniting in her gaze. This room has to hold more. Love like that, it can't end here. The urgency propelled us deeper into exploration. We sifted through the remnants of the past, but with each moment, the shadows grew longer, whispering warnings that lingered just beyond the threshold of comprehension. I could feel the air crackling around us, thickening with anticipation and fear. Suddenly, the quiet was shattered by the sounds of a commotion outside. The ground shook again, and I froze, holding my breath as I peered out the window. Dust clouds began to rise once more, but this time they mixed with the unmistakable figures of people and not the villagers we had seen fleeing earlier. These figures appeared determined, resolute, their movements fierce with intention. Who are they? Elena's voice quivered, panic bubbling just below the surface. I don't know. I felt it a pit deep in my stomach, a sense of ominous fate rewriting what we knew. We need to hide. Now. We dashed back to the rear room, our hearts racing. Hunkering down behind a smashed divan, I could feel the trembling of the floor echoing the beats of our anxious hearts. But before we could even catch our breath, the door gave way, swinging open violently. A group of rugged men burst in, their faces contorted with desperation. The leader, tall and imposing, scanned the room, eyes dark with a mix of agitation and fervor. The chest? He bellowed, pointing toward the treasures we'd uncovered. Where is it? Silence hung in the air as fear rippled through us. Would they snag our chances at understanding? What do they want? I whispered to Elena, glancing furtively at Luca, who pressed closer to me, unsure of what was unfolding. I don't know, she whispered back, her face pale as she held onto the edge of the divan. The leader's gaze landed on us, a spark of recognition igniting in his eyes. You shouldn't be here, he growled, stepping forward. This is our legacy, not yours. A chill raced down my spine. For a fleeting moment, I pondered the connections between past and present, feeling as though the actions of those long gone were pulling strings on our lives here and now. And then suddenly, he smiled, a cruel distortion twisting his expression. Tell me, what did you find? Because the past is not as buried as you think. It always finds a way to resurface, doesn't it? In that chilling moment, I realized the binding ties of history, the love of Sophia and Marcus, the pain, and the buried secrets. They were not the only things intertwining our fates. The urgency raced against time, and somewhere amidst the chaos, the unraveling of their story was beckoning the echoes of our own. I felt an impending rift, shadows closing in. What would the men demand? Or were they not the only threat lurking in this ancient town? Secrets might surface, but at what cost? The chest remained open before me, and I pondered whether we could escape unscathed or be nothing more than an echo, trapped within the very walls of Pompeii's history. The air in the dimly lit room was thick with tension, as I felt the weight of the intruder's gaze pressing against me. The leader stepped closer, and I had to suppress the urge to flinch. Beside me, Elena's breath hitched as we exchanged a quick glance, our shared worry deepening like ink spreading through water. What do we say? She whispered, the words barely escaping her lips. We tell them the truth, I replied, though a trickle of doubt wound its way through my thoughts. Was honesty our safest course when fear loomed larger than the shadows cast by our memories? You found something, didn't you? The man's voice was deceptively calm, a predator cloaked in the guise of curiosity. Something worth killing for. Luca, clinging to my side, shivered at the phrase. I glanced down at him, feeling his small body tremble against my thigh. I needed to keep him safe, but as I looked at the man before us, it became painfully clear that safety was a fleeting concept, one that was slipping through our fingers like grains of sand. Please, I pleaded, my voice shaking but loud enough to penetrate the tense atmosphere. We were just researching. We didn't mean any harm. The leader's eyes narrowed, assessing me and my companions with a degree of calculation that made my stomach twist. Research? You've uncovered something that belongs to my family. It's not just research. It's a connection to our lineage. I sensed Elena's breath catch in her throat. What do you mean? She asked, a flicker of hope threading through the fear. Are you saying your ancestors knew Sophia and Marcus? He chuckled, a low, harsh sound that reverberated through the space. Don't pretend you're naive. Sophia was our great-grandmother. And Marcus, well, he's a ghost in our family, isn't he? The way he said the name sent an electric pulse through me, igniting an intense interest buried just beneath the dread. Maybe the stories of their love can guide us, Elena suggested, her voice trembling slightly. We can help each other find the truths that bind us. Help each other? The man sneered, and I could tell he was amused at the very notion. You know nothing. You think old letters and loves lost can save you from this? The only thing that matters is power. The past is a weapon, not a tale to unravel. He motioned for the other men to come forward, and my heart raced. There would be no negotiation here. They were intent on taking back the remnants of their legacy, and perhaps worse, they were prepared to restore a version of history that didn't include us. No? I cried, feeling the urge to protect what we had just begun to uncover. What if we could learn from what they left behind? There could be answers, things you don't even know. The leader paused, the flicker of genuine intrigue peaking instead of anger. Go on, he urged, leaning in with a hint of curiosity. I took a breath, channeling every ounce of conviction I had. They loved fiercely, despite the odds. Their story can reveal more than your lineage. It may shed light on the dangerous shadows of your family's past. The room was silent, tension simmering as I could see a storm brewing behind his keen eyes. And what would you know of dangers? He asked, the question less rhetorical now. Do you think you're prepared to face what lies within those romantic echoes? Sophia and Marcus were not the innocents you imagine. The words hung ominously in the air, threading through the silence like a whispered promise of heartache. Perhaps he was right. Was our quest for truth leading us toward an abyss we were unprepared to confront? I steadied my heart, refusing to succumb to fear. We can't turn back now, I replied softly, though doubt laced my words. What if their love is the key to undoing the darkness? Can you bear to know what they've hidden? A murmur of uncertainty rippled through the group of men, and I seized the moment. Let us help you uncover it. Together, we may unlock secrets that can bring peace to both our families. The leader's face contorted in thought, and for a fleeting moment, I saw the cracks in his façade. A flicker of vulnerability illuminated the anger that swirled within. But as quickly as it appeared, he steeled himself again, narrowing his eyes. You tread dangerous grounds, girl. It would take more than pretty prose to persuade me. A new voice interrupted, breaking the mounting tension. Behind the men, an older woman stepped forward, her silhouette slightly stooped but eyes fierce with authority. Enough, she commanded, her presence radiating a raw power that silenced even the leader. Who are you? I asked, curiosity flaring within me as everyone, including the men, looked toward her, startled. I am the keeper of our history, she said, sweeping her gaze across the room, landing on each of us in turn. And I have heard the whispers of love and loss that bind us all. You, child, carry a truth that may be worth exploring. The leader scowled, clearly displeased by the interruption but remaining silent, like a storm awaiting its moment to strike. This was a spark of hope, a delicate chance amid impending chaos. Perhaps she would understand the importance of these writings, the emotional weight they carried like a fragile glass sculpture. I would hear what you uncovered, she said to me, voice earnest and wise. But tread lightly, the consequences of our story may not yield the resolution you seek. Hope and fear intermingled as I stepped forward, ready to reveal the secrets that had been lost and buried deep within the parchment. Behind me, Luca grasped my hand tighter, his small frame quivering with uncertainty. Just then, the ground shook again, more violently this time. A tremor echoed through the walls, cracking the plaster and sending shards tumbling to the floor. We remained still, hearts hammering in our chests, frozen in the precarious tension of the moment. This isn't over, the leader spat, and I felt a shiver run through me as shadows loomed larger in the flickering light. What lay ahead was uncertain, but as the fissures beneath us deepened, I understood that our journey had only just begun. With every word exchanged, we were careening closer to truths that threatened to shatter the very foundation of our existence. Love, power, and the legacies we inherited pulsed like a heartbeat beneath the ashes, and as the dust settled, our fates hung precariously in the balance. The tremors ceased as suddenly as they had started, but the eerie stillness that followed felt even more oppressive than the chaos moments before. The air thrummed with unspoken truths and fears, igniting a restlessness within me. I turned to the older woman, my heart pounding with urgency. "What do you know about Sophia and Marcus?" I asked, desperate to tether myself to something solid amidst the swirling tide of uncertainty. She regarded me with a solemnity that made my pulse quicken. Their love was a tempest, one woven through suffering and sacrifice. They were more than mere victims of family feuds. They fought against their destinies with fierce determination. Her voice resonated within the room, drawing the attention of everyone present, including the leader who stood rigid, his expression caught between skepticism and intrigue. "What happened to them?" Elena found the strength to ask, her hand shaking next to mine, but her eyes were bright with the ember of hope. "Did they find peace?" The woman paused, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of pain dance across her features. "I fear peace was fleeting. Their story ended in betrayal, a tragedy that not only cost them their lives but fractured our family for generations. The echoes of their love became a haunting lament, a reminder of what was lost." The leader shifted uneasily, the agitation clear in his body language. "This is pointless," he snapped, but there was an undercurrent of uncertainty in his voice. "You talk about them like they were heroes. All I see are two fools who doomed my bloodline with their reckless choices." My heart sank at his words, the weight of history pressing down like an invisible shroud. But their choices were born of love, honest love. Surely, there's a way to reconcile the love they had with the darkness that followed. A heavy silence smothered us, and I could feel the room's walls closing in, suffocating us in despair. Just when I thought I had reached the limits of our fragile alliance, the woman spoke again, her voice soft yet unwavering. "Perhaps there is a truth that can mend more than it breaks," she said thoughtfully. "But only if you are willing to confront what lies beneath." "And what lies beneath?" The question echoed in my mind like a drumbeat, hammering at the edges of my resolve. Everything I had unearthed in the drawings and letters gnawed at me, urging me to take the plunge into the murky history that bound our families together. As if sensing my turmoil, Luca's grip tightened on my hand. "Mommy, what if it's dangerous?" His voice was small, yet there was a steeliness beneath the fear. "What if we shouldn't go looking for more?" Elena kneeled beside him, gently brushing a stray hair from his forehead. "It's normal to be scared, buddy. But remember what we're doing this for. We're searching for the truth, to understand the love that connects us." The leader sneered, but the old woman held his gaze firmly. "You think their connection can be reduced to mere folly. But the very essence of our existence is wrapped in the choices of those who came before us. If you seek resolution, you must be prepared to unearth the skeletons that linger in the depths." A shudder coursed through me at the thought. Digging too deep could expose wounds that had never healed, and the fear of revisiting those traumas made my heart race. But I also understood that to learn of Sophia and Marcus would mean learning about the strengths and flaws of my own lineage. "What do we do?" I asked the older woman, my voice barely above a whisper. "How do we find out what really happened?" "Follow the echoes of their love," she replied, her gaze piercing. "Their whispers are hidden beneath layers of false narratives and misplaced blame. Seek out the ruins of a place known as the Forgotten Pavilion. It was a refuge where they exchanged vows and oases amidst their broken families. What you find there may lead you to understanding." The leader scoffed, his disbelief palpable. "And risk our lives for a ghost of a story? You're jesting. Every story carries the weight of truth. Yours may not be a fairy tale, but it can show you where you went astray." Her voice softened as she addressed him. "Reclaim your narrative, confront the ghosts of your past, and you may find a way forward." Just as a flicker of acceptance passed through the group, the ground shook violently again. Windows shattered and dust fell from the ceiling like winter's breath. Panic erupted in the room, everyone scrambling for safety as the structure trembled. "Out! Now!" I shouted, pulling Elena and Luca toward the only exit, my heart pounding in rhythm with the chaos around us. We fled into the cool night, the moonlight reflecting our anxious faces as we gathered a few steps away from the building, gasping for breath. But as the churning earth began to settle, the air crackled with an unfathomable tension. Just then, I felt a hand clasp mine tightly. It belonged to the leader, and within his eyes, I saw not just a reflection of fear, but a burgeoning determination. "I will go with you," he declared, the words heavy with the weight of conflict. "But know this, the truth we unveil could destroy everything." My breath hitched at the sudden alliance, but in those words, I sensed a storm brewing, a tempest that could engulf us all. We were entwined now, our fates inexplicably woven together, our shared journey fraught with the unanswered questions of love lost and found. And as we prepared to walk down a path lined with buried secrets, the echoes of the past loomed larger than ever before, whispering promises and perils we had yet to grasp. As I stood in the moonlight, the cold night air swirling around us, the weight of the world's histories lingered in the silence that followed our exodus from the crumbling brothel. The leader's admission shocked me. Torn between wariness and a flicker of hope, I realized we were no longer just strangers seeking clarity, we were becoming a tapestry, woven together by the threads of a shared journey drenched in the weight of love, betrayal, and sacrifice. "We have to move quickly," I said, breaking the stillness that enveloped us as we awaited any signs of danger emerging from the fading tremors of the past. "If we're going to find what Sophia and Marcus left behind, we need to hurry before the world collapses further around us." Elena nodded, glancing back at the brothel we had just vacated. "And what about him?" she asked, motioning toward the leader, whose resolve seemed rigid yet fragile, teetering on uncertainty. "Can we trust him?" He caught her gaze, holding it steady as intensity flickered in his eyes. "Trust is earned, not given. But if our fates are entwined, then I have no choice but to see this through," he answered, a mix of bravado and vulnerability threading his words. The hidden stories of his family echoed behind his facade, and the truth pulled at me, urging me to keep moving forward. With that, we began our journey toward the forgotten pavilion, navigating the streets of Pompeii as shadows danced in the corners of our vision. The city that once thrived in splendor now lay fragmented, just as our own lives felt broken pieces waiting for restoration. As we ventured deeper into the silence, the tension among us morphed into a quiet understanding, an unspoken bond binding us through shared histories and traumas. "What do you remember about Sophia?" I asked the leader, hoping to dig deeper into the roots of our unfolding narrative. His expression shifted slightly, betraying a flicker of pain. "She was a spirit who brought light to the darkness. My family had cast her aside, but she loved fiercely more than any of us ever realized. And in the end, she paid the price for our ignorance." His eyes glued to the ground, burdened by memories that rippled at the seams. There were whispers of secrets and enemies lurking in the shadows. They forced her into the arms of fate when all she craved was acceptance. The resonance of his words sent a chill down my spine. Our stories and those of our ancestors were colliding in ways we hadn't even begun to understand. However, my thoughts were abruptly interrupted when a distant crashing sound filled the air, breaking me from my reverie. "We need to keep moving," I insisted, pushing forward. The moon cast an ethereal glow on the remnants of ancient ruins, illuminating the path that lay before us. As we walked, the leader breathed out, almost as if testing the weight of honesty for the first time. "You must understand, Marcus was not just a casualty. His choices plunged our families into chaos, creating a divide that was never meant to heal." I turned to him. "And Sophia? What ultimately happened to her?" My heart raced, myths and realities intertwined, desperate for revelation, and I could feel an urgency burning in the pit of my stomach. There are stories that point toward her disappearance. Some say she grieved too long, while others whisper of a conspiracy meant to erase her entirely. But the truth is, she was lost in the mire of history we have buried. Forgotten, just like those who built this city. His passionate declaration hung in the air like a spell, and I felt the pull of their legacies urging me onward. Finally, we arrived at the ruins of the forgotten pavilion, its indomitable structure strangely intact compared to the chaos surrounding us. The entrance was worn but inviting, an open doorway promising the possibility of connection amidst chaos. As we stepped through the threshold, the atmosphere shifted, thick with the ghosts of lives long past. The air shimmered with the weight of stories waiting to be revealed. This, I breathed, surveying the remnants of the exquisite decor that once flourished here, is where they forged their vows. The leader nodded, his features illuminated by the haunting light filtering through gaps in the stone. They dared to love in the open here, but the world crashed down umber of their dreams. I could feel Elena's hand slip into mine, drawing strength from the connection we fostered through shared grief and uncertainty. For love to endure, it must conquer the darkness that seeks to extinguish it, she whispered, and a flame of hope ignited within me. We searched the room, fragments of love letters and delicate trinkets scattered amidst the ruins. I could feel the pulsing energy of past lives beat around us, a reminder that everything lost could still be found if we dared seek it. There, half buried beneath the dust, I spotted a glimmer, a small, worn locket. I crouched to pick it up, fingers trembling as I felt its cold surface. Slowly, I opened it, revealing a portrait of a woman with strikingly familiar features. Sophia. It's her, I gasped, feeling a surge of energy wash over me. This connects us to her story. The leader's eyes widened at the sight. But how could you? He began, the awe and disbelief resting heavy on his tongue. Love is never truly lost, it clings to us, waiting for someone brave enough to reclaim it, I replied, my voice steady. This locket could unlock her story and, in turn, guide us back to the roots of our family's pain. But just as I began to feel that the truth would set us free, a mighty tremor shook the foundations of the pavilion, magnifying fear and urgency. Dust clouded around us, and I felt the ground tremble beneath my feet as panic surged. We have to get out of here, I yelled, clutching the locket tightly. No? The leader's voice surged through the chaos. We can't leave without understanding. We must uncover what this means before it's too late. I hesitated. In the depths of turmoil, both fear and urgency wove their way through my chest. Are you willing to break the chains of the past? I asked, determination competing against doubt. Can you find the courage to forgive? At that moment, we were no longer just threads of individual pain woven through time. We were all facing the void together, embarking upon a journey that could change our fates. The tremors intensified, dragging us deeper into the heart of chaos, but in each other's eyes, there was the reflection of a choice, one that demanded we confront the ghosts of love and loss. My heart surged with newfound courage, knowing we faced a decision that might unravel the very fabric of our existence or bring forth the understanding that could weather the storm of our shared legacies. Taking a deep breath, I felt that whatever answer awaited us, it started within the embrace of our intertwined heartbeats. And then, as the pavilion trembled once more, there came a voice, a warm echo reverberating through time. Love is the answer, it whispered, a soothing balm against the chaos. And in love, you will find the strength to begin anew. With that understanding wrapped firmly in my heart, I stepped forward into the shadows, the past casting its arms wide open, ready to embrace what was once feared. This time, we would face it together, hoping to emerge from the ashes of history renewed. Love was waiting, we would find it, even in the heart of loss. Together. As the world trembled around us, I held on to that thought, the final thread traversing the tapestry of our intertwined destinies, leading us toward light. So this is our legacy, I declared, hand gripping the locket, as the ground beneath us trembled one last time. And we will not let it end in darkness. With a heart full of hope and a spirit set ablaze with desire, I took our first steps toward tomorrow, a tomorrow shaped by this moment, carried by love, and forged in the echoes of lives once lost.